Hey, Sun Devil fans, Brad Denny with 3TV, CBS 5, and the Speak of the Devils podcast. And welcome back to another episode of the Speak of the Devils Sitdown Series, where I bring you in-depth one-on-one conversations with key players, coaches, and other figures within Sun Devil athletics. Now, following in the footsteps of a legend is a tall task, but doing so right after taking home the national championship makes it a little bit easier. Now, back in April, Herbie Behm was elevated to become the new head coach of Arizona State's swim and dive teams, just days after the men's team took home the NCAA title and the departure of legendary head coach Bob Bowman. As a former Sun Devil swimmer, Herbie joined the ASU staff in 2018, and over the years has earned a reputation as one of the best and most innovative minds in the sport. On this episode, Herbie and I discuss his start in the pool, the journey from a cut program to a national champion, seeing Sun Devils win gold on the world stage, his vision for the future of the program, and much more. So let's get to it. Here's my conversation with Herbie Behm. All right, Coach, let's start off with the first meet of the year already in the books, wins for both the men's and women's squad. What were some of the big takeaways from the action against UNLV?
There's a lot of really good swims. The highlight was on the women's side, first race, school records. That was pretty cool. And that was in the 200 medley relay. So the fact that that's, all four strokes and they really lit it up on all four of those is a really good telling sign for what's to come. That's something that they always start the meet with that 200 medley relay, and it's like, you know, it's going to go well or poorly based on that one. And the fact that it was school record and they lit it up, it's like, okay, this one should be pretty solid. But across the board, there was a ton of other good swims, like Ilya Karun is just an animal. He's lighting it up in every way. And there's a lot of depth that we didn't, you're never really certain of what that'll look like until the meets start. But it was a really good start. So yeah, we're excited to get things rolling.
So going back a little bit to spring, obviously, Bob heads out to Texas, and you're named, as the head coach of Sun Devil Swimming and Dive. What are some of the first tasks that you had to kind of tackle there? Obviously, still in the wake of winning the national championship. Yeah,
well, it was a crazy few weeks for that, and it was definitely exaggerated with the Olympics coming up, and it was a lot of people really focused on that, and then it's like all these changes. The biggest thing was just getting everybody on board with the change of leadership. And that's something that I was incredibly impressed with just kind of the, doubling down on the environment. And it's something that we all kind of have worked so hard together to build. And now it's like expanding that in the whole, just Sun Devil swimming community. Like this meet, I think, was a good example of that. And I think it was one of the most, highest number of people I've ever seen at a meet here, which having the beer garden definitely helped that. But having just that many people behind us was really cool to see, and really seeing the team recognize and know that it's like, this is so much bigger than a single person ever will be, is really cool. And now that's, I think, how we take the next step is having that and having the older guys teach that to the younger guys quicker than it has been. So by the time kids are halfway through their freshman year, they kind of know this whole system and are helping run it themselves, which is where we're at right now, which is really exciting.
What does it mean to you just, be, at the head of the program, and your alma mater, at a place where you swim?
It means everything. Like, it's been, I literally think I've been preparing for it my entire life. So it's not like this was an unexpected thing to happen. It definitely happened in an unexpected way. But it's just, something I'm so proud of, and every guy on this team, every woman on this team, like it's such a great, it's always been such a great community. And now kind of being able to lead that allows just a bigger voice really to connect with the team, alumni, parents, everything. And that's what it really means to me. So, can't really verbalize how much it means, but it's awesome.
Now, I believe you're one of 9 head coaches at ASU who are also alums as well. Of course, the new athletic director and Graham Rossini, also a Sun Devil alum as well. What impact do you think that adds? Having a leader of a program also being somebody who is a Sun Devil true and true.
Yeah, well, what's pretty crazy is our swimming and diving team. 6 of our 8 coaches are alum, so we're like completely led within, which is really cool. But I think you kind of have to have been here a while to really know how much it's changed. And that's the most important thing. Because I know telling these kids of who, when they are at Mona Plummer now and walk to class and walk past like 25 good restaurants, and you're like, guys, it was just Panda Express when I was here. I think that's something that actually does mean a lot, to where it's like all of these buildings that are brand new, like 5 years ago, this place didn't look the same. It's kind of blowing up right now. And I think you have to have been here a while to really know how much that is impacting this whole community. So yeah, it's awesome that so many of our coaches, obviously Graham as well, but so many of the leaders grew up here and came through this program and through this just environment. It's a really cool thing.
And of course, as part of the growth and explosion of Sun Devil swimming, obviously, Leon Marchand became an international star at the Olympics, but other Sun Devils made their mark as well. What was that experience like, just to see, Leon and the others really just kind of, put on such a show for the entire world?
Yeah, well, it doesn't stop really. Like the guys just before practice were saying that Leon was with Future a couple days ago, and it's just like mind blowing that an ASU swimmer is doing that. And again, going back to, it's like unbelievable in my experience, to when it was the team had just been cut and we were like selling raffle tickets to try and just be a team. And now it's like, stop a random person in France and say, hey, what's Arizona State University? They're like, that's where Leon Marchand swam. So it's a crazy thing. It's like, still kind of wrapping my head around that. But it makes everything a lot better and easier. Recruiting wise, when you talk to any international, like, well, Leon Marchand school, they're like, I want to go there. So that's definitely a positive. But it's unbelievable, really.
So I want to go back to the start of your journey. What got you first into the sport of swimming? What was kind of your entry into the pool, so to speak?
There isn't really much time in my life that I can remember not swimming. I've been doing it forever. I remember being probably 4 at the pool, and I have an older sister who was on the swim team, and I had to just hang out and like play on the outside of the pool and just wanting to get in. So it's been just a part of every day of my life has been swim practice has been part of it. So yeah, and it's been growing through that. And even, I think I have a pretty cool, swimming experience, because also my last year competing at ASU, we actually had, I was a sprinter, and our sprint coach left, in the middle of the season, and they were like, hey, we're not able to get a new sprint coach. Like, you guys can do it yourselves or just swim with the distance group if you want to. And it's like, well, I'm not going to swim with the distance group. So I was like, guys, I can do this. I'm going to write the practices, and we're going to do this. And actually we did really well. We broke a school record on one of the relays. So it was like, a very organic start of something that I had always wanted to do and kind of had been preparing for, and then got the chance to do it even before I was done swimming. And that kind of built the confidence of like, okay, I think I can do this. And then just kind of got the ball rolling, where I coached a club team that was actually on campus when I was in college, and have just been coaching really, the whole time. And it's been, it's just like kind of been, in a way, the plan ever since I was a little kid, which is, kind of awesome that it's actually, we're there.
What is it about the sport that has made such an impact with you and made it your life's passion?
I think I just love the competitiveness of it, and it's competitive in a unique way to where you're not really being affected by other people. Even when you're in an Olympic final, like they can't even come in your lane, so it's kind of noise is the environment around you, but it's ultimately like a more internal battle, and it's a lot of, I mean, the race is just a display of your preparation. So most of it is what we do in training. And I think that's something that I think is beautiful. And I think that's just like I think it's the best teacher of anything. Like, I think pursuing excellence at the highest level is the best education that you're ever going to get. So the fact that here at ASU, there's kids who are doing that while getting their degree, but also like literally seeing how good they can be. And now it's with people winning Olympic medals and doing stuff that was way better than what I did, where it was just like kind of trying to be okay. But that's exactly what it is. Cause it's this, it's all like a relationship that you have with yourself and with competition, and even with competitors, to where you can view it in a really unhealthy way. But you can also kind of recognize like, oh, these people are all kind of helping in my own self-realization. And that's why I personally like the sport. I know it's kind of a weirder view, I guess, but that's what I like about it.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, the kind of the individual versus team nature of that. Like, what were some of the things that, through your time, as competing, but also now, on their side of things as a coach, that you found, kind of really kind of resonated, and you've been able to kind of impart, with people to, obviously push themselves and have their, to have that competitive drive, but also, be part of the larger team.
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's kind of the as I've watched this evolve, that's been really cool. And now it's learning how to use other people and putting them in situations where they'll kind of build each other up. Mm-hmm. Like just today, I was just talking with one of our other coaches, and I was like, that was the best practice we've ever had since I've been at ASU. And it's something that we work towards, but some of the practices, we make it as competitive as possible, where we're putting people against each other. And that's something that can be perceived as a lot of stress, but we are constantly teaching, like, look, this is the best way we're going to learn how to be the best. And it's like these relays that are a huge part of it. We are working together, but when we're racing each other, the better you can do, but while still kind of motivating the person next to you, that's when it makes like this whole environment, and you can feel the energy when something's happening like that. So that's really where we're at now. And I think that's how we're going to keep getting better, is just building upon that, because the kids who are freshmen right now are so unbelievably lucky, because it wasn't always like that, to where they just walk in and they're like, everybody's super positive and excited and trying their hardest, but also like motivating everybody around them. So they just hopefully will see that, think it's normal, and just do that. And then it's like, how do we continue to raise that bar? And that's when it expands to life outside of the pool, because that's the most important part. It's like how you're sleeping, how you're eating, how you're taking care of yourself. And having the whole team bought into the understanding of that is when, if they're doing all of that, like, coaching part is easy. So it's just encouraging and continue to educate them on the importance of that and how to do that.
So you mentioned, obviously you got your first kind of chance, maybe coaching, in kind of an unconventional way during your final season at ASU. But when was that first kind of nugget planted, or seed planted rather, where you're thinking like, okay, maybe coaching is something that I want to pursue one day?
It's funny. I can remember I was probably 14, and I was at swim practice, and I told a friend of mine that I was like, oh yeah, like when I'm a coach, I'm going to do this. And he was like, you want to be a coach? And I was like, I thought everybody wanted to be a coach. So that was like literally the first time I can think back. But then, literally I remember taking recruiting trips and talking to every coach when I was on my visit, saying like, look, I want to be a coach one day. So wherever I go, I want to go to a place where I can learn as much as I can from you. So when I graduate, I'm in a good spot to do that. And I mean, life never goes exactly as planned. There was a lot of doubts of, is that a good or terrible idea throughout college? But yeah, then like I said, I started coaching kind of concurrently while I was still swimming, and got the opportunity to actually do it at a high level, where I was like literally coaching college kids while I was a college kid, which is pretty rare, and had some success. And that's when I was most confident, like, okay, this is a path that I can probably go down. And yeah, then coached club and did all these other things kind of right after college, but have always been drawn to just the highest performance obviously possible, but more like the best environment that we can be in is what I love. And I truly think that's what we've got here. So now it's up to me to to figure out how to make it better and how to protect it, because it's something that's super valuable to a lot of people. And how can we just continue moving and improving at the rate we have been?
You mentioned earlier that some folks have the perspective of where this program has been and now where it has become. You mentioned the program was going from being cut and selling raffle tickets and such to now NCAA championship program. How is that journey and your place at kind of the front and center kind of maybe informed your view of the profession and your ties to this program?
Well, there's definitely a lot of hard work behind the scenes that makes that possible. But it's ultimately like, if the environment is ripe for success is inevitable. Like, it's going to happen. And we built that very actively. And one of the things that I think was actually the biggest reason why I think we're successful is because of those years of struggle, to where it was this foundation of, okay, we were going, like my first travel meet we went to, we had 18 guys and we had 3 hotel rooms. So it wasn't hotel rooms with 6 beds. It was just, okay, figure it out and try. So it's like, we kind of had everything against us the whole time. So then it was always about, okay, how can we just get better? And it was never focused on anybody else, and just constantly doing that. And then that expanded to everything, to the recruiting side, to every aspect of this program. How can we optimize that and make it the best possible? And then once people were here and started seeing success, other people are drawn to that. And that's why I think we had so many professional swimmers as well who are excited to come here, because it's still that same mentality. And I think one of the best stories of that was in 2020-21 season, when we redshirted the entire team. And there was no meets to swim at. So all we had to look forward to was like Friday afternoons, we'd put the touch pads in and have a little meet with ourselves. And we had to kind of learn how to create energy and make that something that we were all looking forward to. And that year we started having some really fast times in those Friday afternoons that didn't actually count for anything. And nobody in the whole world cared about it except us. But that gave us the ability to just know, like, oh, we can, anytime we want excitement, anytime we want that, it's up to us to make it. So then that kind of bled into just like the practice we had today, and a lot of things like that, that became a regular part of our program, is the just really definition of how we do things. And that's if there is a secret to it, it's just working really hard and supporting each other, which we learned throughout this whole process to get here.
So, looking back in your time, swimming for the Sun Devils, what were some of your favorite memories as a student athlete?
I mean, it's always been about the relationships and the friends I made, and that, like, I wish there was more. Well, we didn't have much success, to be, so there wasn't very many highlights in the performance side of things, but the process of getting there. And I guess my really specific one, like I said at the beginning of this, where we had this little sprint group. There was only 4 of us there, and I was kind of writing the workouts, and we were doing it all of ourselves. And it was like us working together and just figuring out how to get better. And we didn't really care about a record. It was like, if we can go best times, this would be the coolest thing. Like, we did it without a coach, really. Like, we just did this by ourselves. And I remember that meet actually being so excited, like just so excited to see what the times were, where I didn't care what the place, but it's like, oh, if this can be better than I've ever been, and we did this without the guidance and leadership that's traditionally needed, then it's like we're onto something. And it was, and that was the really first time that I was equally invested in seeing what my teammates went and knowing exactly like, oh, that's their best time, like, and being so ecstatic for them going a best time. Again, I couldn't even give you a ballpark of the place we got. It wasn't that high for the individual races that we had, but it was good, and we made progress. And that's what I think it's all about is just, kind of grading ourselves by the progress we make, how we're just moving forward. And that was definitely like a really cool defining moment in my life, really.
What was it like being a Sun Devil, but from a guy from Wildcat country down south?
Oh yeah. Well, it's funny because when I was in when I was in high school as well, I had I'll give it. I've always been a hat guy, and I had a U of A hat when I was a junior in high school. But then I had an ASU shirt on one time, and people were getting so pissed at me because I had both, and it was like, oh god, like I got to make a choice here. Yeah. So it's cool, and it's something I actually feel like pretty fortunate to have grown up there, because I don't have the hatred towards them that a lot of people here do. Obviously, I want to beat them and everything, but kind of having the respect and understanding of, like, I mean, when you live in Tucson, you're like, come on, this is all we have. Like, we have to win. You have to win. And moving to Tempe, it was like coming to paradise when I left. And that's no hate to Tucson. I actually love the city of Tucson, but coming up here was like just so much bigger, so much better in every way. That's why I haven't even questioned going back at any point. But yeah, I think it's kind of fortunate being able to understand it from both sides.
Of course, spending years working with Bob Bowman here in Tempe, legend in the sport. What were some of the things and the most valuable lessons that he was able to impart upon you that you've taken forward?
Yeah, I think that kind of knowing what to focus on. I think that's what he's really good at, and in his role of head coaching, it was always the expectation of, like, here's the couple things he's really good at, and he's going to make sure he's doing that and not worrying about the other things. So now I kind of have that and have to learn how to do that, how to make sure I'm still able to be the best version of myself on deck, outside of the deck, and then help put other people in situations to be successful as well. And then just the physiological side of kind of how he trained was really valuable, because I've always been the very much sprint background, and he's been the opposite, more distance side. So learning that and kind of learning how to use volume is something I didn't know at all when I got here, but how to do that appropriately and not just totally cook people, but still get a good amount of work in, is something he's really good at, that I definitely learned a lot from.
And you've earned a reputation over the years being one of the most innovative minds in the sport. And what has it been like, just trying to look for every advantage in the margins, using every tool, and kind of innovating and pushing the progress in the sport forward?
Well, it's been great, and I think we're kind of I feel like making another crazy breakthrough right now, because we also hired Dave Salos, the associate head coach, who's been known as one of the most leading innovators of the sport as well, but also hired Corey Manley, who's a data scientist. So we're kind of looking at everything from a scientific viewpoint, but doing that while being as creative as we can be. is really cool. And that's what I'm really excited about. We're kind of like doing the Moneyball approach while having the artistic approach, and doing that in conjunction has been really cool. And I think it's something that can be just incredible for the entire sport, which that's going to be tough to do to the extent that I think we can do it. But I'm pretty confident we can get there. But it's the really just learning how to trust each other, work together as a whole team, innovating as well, rather than just a couple individuals. And yeah, it's been a ton of fun so far.
So for perhaps just an average fan out there that maybe not too fluent in the sport of swimming, what would some of those kind of tangible or visible aspects of kind of the intermingling of that art and science be when they were to watch a meet?
So when you're watching a meet, first off, our meet last week, it's crazy how many other coaches have been like texting, calling me, and freaking out about this, because it is not groundbreaking. So at least I've thought some of the stuff where it's like we added this beer garden, and it was like a 6 p.m. meet where normally swim meets are at like 1 p.m. on a Thursday or a Friday. And we're like, why can't we get fans in the stands? It's like, because everyone is at work. So it's like as simple as that, where we're like, maybe let's have it at 6 p.m. on a Friday, and then we can have a beer garden and other stuff around it, where it's like, if people want to go hang out over there for a minute or two, they can. They don't have to be fully like understanding of the sport of swimming. But that's what I think we're doing a good job of at the meets, and trying to just bring excitement to a lot of things. And it's not diminishing the performance at all. It's just adding to it. Because it was like, I could feel the energy when we've got fans above us, and then on the side of us, there's all these people where half of them maybe were very casual fans who don't know a ton about swimming, but they can see when, oh, that guy's way in front, or that guy's coming from behind. And then there's that excitement there. It's a really simple sport that you don't need. You'll just watch. It's just who can get to the wall first. It's pretty easy on that. But I think the environment around it is what we do differently, and that's what I think is really fun.
So, of course, now with ASU, a national championship program, all eyes and sights for the program is going to set on the Sun Devils. What are the biggest challenges of staying on top?
I mean, it's that perception of, okay, we're on top when I mean we either way, we graduated a lot of people last year, so we have a really young team now. So it's trying to teach them how to do this and have this and learn how to do it when there's every eye, like all the eyes are on us. And also knowing like every time we have these dual meets, the other teams are like going to be 100% ready to go, when that hasn't always been the case here. But I think that's the best preparation really we can get. So yeah, it's just being ready to go, going as fast as we can, and ultimately focusing on ourselves. Because even when we won, we weren't talking about winning all the time. It was just, how can we do everything right and nail every step along the way? And then when we get there, we're as ready as we can, and the result will take care of itself.
So going from selling tickets to try to keep the program alive to hoisting the national championship trophy, what do you hope that maybe your journey, your career arc, with the Sun Devil program maybe says and inspires in others?
I mean, I think it's there's no, like Bruce Lee said, have no limitation as your limitation. It's exactly that it's just it's more about the process. And I think the process of how we got from nothing to national champions, and that's not the end of the story, is really what it's all about. And it was never, I'm sure people thought back then, it's like, oh, this team can be national champions, but it was never like an immediate next step. We had like 10,000 steps before it was like, okay, guys, I think we can do this. But it was just always getting that one step further forward. And that's ultimately the key to it. And I think there's a lot of teams that can do it. I mean, there's been some teams, unfortunately, that have been cut in the last few years that haven't been brought back. But there's a lot of teams that aren't that don't have a history and don't have that. And I think if you start saying, oh, well, Cal, Texas, these guys who have all the tradition and all of that behind them, it's like they make at some point they decided, oh, we're going to make this and we're going to be really good. Yeah, for them it was in the 1940s. For us it was in 2024. So now we have a history, and now it's up to us to protect it. But for anybody else who's thinking about this, it's like, why not start somewhere? And somebody's got to be that. Like for years we said there's going to be a time when there's the first Pac-12 championship team ever, and that picture is going to go up in history here. And that was like a really inspiring thing to every recruit, everybody in like 2019, 2020. And then we got that done, and then it was taking the next step. So now it's kind of just finding ways how to continue moving forward. And it's like, that's what's so great about this is when you don't have that as long of tradition as it is, you can really like be the guy. Now we have Leon Marchand, so we've got a Leon Marchand, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be other faces to that and adding to this so much so. And that's what's great about swimming. We don't need that many people to be the ones in the pool doing it, but if we have an environment that is allowing that, then it's just bound to happen, really.
So now that you're leading your alma mater, you have a national title on your resume. What advice would you give to yourself, back in 2018 when you first kind of rejoined Sun Devil Swimming?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I haven't. I guess it's like just trust the process. Like things are going to be up and down. It's not going to be. You're definitely not going to be happy every single day. But it can all be good. And I guess that's like, now that I'm saying that out loud, it's good advice for right now, that it's there's a lot of unknowns coming up, but it's just like, if you can control your little part of the world and do the best you can every single day with that, everything's going to be good. And if not, you're still going to be in the best spot possible. And that's kind of what I feel like I've been fortunate to been trying to think that constantly, and now it's convincing everybody around to do that also. And yeah, that's really what I would tell myself. I probably wouldn't believe myself either if like, hey, in like 6 years you're going to be completely in charge. But yeah, it's definitely been an awesome journey.
So of course, making the jump from Pac-12 to now to the Big 12 with the rest of Sun Devil Athletics. What's kind of the swimming outlook? What does the Big 12 offer as a swimming conference?
Oh, I think it's great. It's so the championship meet, Pac-12 has always been separate, where the women's first week, men's the second week. It's going to be combined, where it's all at the same time, which will be like super exciting because there's going to be twice as many fans there. So it'll be a huge meet. And I think having both of the teams together will add a ton to the energy as well, because the men are returning national champions, 2-time defending Pac-12 champions. But the last time the women were conference champions I think it was 1978. So it's something that it's been a long time, but we have a very good chance this year. And having that combination where the meet's happening at the same time, regardless of how we do, like the men, we have experienced men they've got rings. They've got a couple Pac-12 rings. They kind of know what it's like, and it's 5 days. It's a long meet. And learning how to manage emotions is a tough thing. So having that combined will help both teams, I think, quite a bit. But specifically, I'm really excited for our women because I mean, knock on wood, I think we got a really good chance of winning that. Same with the men. It's also crazy because there's only been men's Big 12 swimming champion. There's only been one coach to ever win, Eddie Reese, who coached at Texas since the 1950s. It's just, you look at the names, it's just Texas since the Big 12 started. So they're not here anymore. So it's up for grabs right now. So that's something that is cool, because now we're in a spot to where we can do that. And now, I mean, hopefully it's something we can do this year, but it'll be an every single year thing to where we can really start a lasting tradition that I think is certainly possible on both men's and women's side of it.
You mentioned, of course, the men's team being the national champions, couple Pac-12 titles in the belt, but with the optimism on the women's side, how's that? What's kind of the season outlook for the women's swim team?
Oh, it's really good. Like I said, literally the first race was a school record, and that school record was from 2019. So I think we can be really good because we've got some studs. Caroline Bentz was Big 12 newcomer of the week already. We've got a lot of very good girls because we've got Miriam Sheehan, who is already her time in the 50 and 100 back will be one of the fastest in the whole year. Another freshman, they're all really young, which is exciting. A freshman, Julia Ullman, who's from Switzerland, who is the real deal. It's again from just the practice we had today where it's like, okay, this girl's good. This girl's really good. So that's super exciting because I think they're about to have a great year. And again, I think it's because that environment, and now that there is that very real carrot to chase of being team champions, is something that hasn't happened here in a while. And once that happens, it changes a team, because I've seen it happen on the men's side. And I think the women are just about to make that same shift.
So next up on the schedule, it looks like a meet with U of A, GCU, NAU. So all kind of state championship battle.
Yeah, it's a state.
What are some of the things that you want to see from your teams out there? As they go for state conquest.
Same as last week. We're just doing the best they can. We're going to kind of have people swim some different events and see what they can do. We kind of have to. My philosophy on that is kind of starting the season with more experimental, seeing people in stuff we're not very sure of, so then we can know where to go training wise. And yeah, just to watch them race with the passion they had last week, where it was. Anytime it's the first meet, it's easier. Now it's the second weekends back to back, where they'll probably be a little bit tired. But if they're coming out with energy, giving everything they've got every single race, that's all we can ask for.
So for any Sun Devil fans out there who maybe aren't familiar with swimming as a sport, or maybe have the interest peaked with the national title, what's the best way for them to kind of jump in and get involved into what's going on with these the swim and dive teams?
I think just look online. Like, it's simple, like following our Instagram. It's constantly updating with what we're doing, and then coming out to a meet, because I think it is something that's really fun. Like seeing the environment we had last week. Want that to get bigger and bigger. So you'll have to be on the pass list to get in the beer garden. But just DM me, give me your name. I'll put you. I'll put anybody on. I want it to be as packed as possible. So yeah, just that. Looking on our website, it's got the schedule, but just staying in touch with the things there.
So over the next couple of years, or even longer, 5-10 years down the road, what's your vision for the future of Sun Devil Swimming?
I think just continuing to grow and continuing how to keep expanding on what we've done, and that is so much more than just performance. It's a whole environment and community. And I think this winning a national championship and kind of having a spotlight has given us the platform to do that. I also think the sport of swimming is ready to make that change, where there's some excitement and fan interactions and like a just bigger thing than just like we do a really good job at the NCAA championships and the Olympics, but all the other meets, we've got to mean something more. So I think ASU can be the front runners of that. And then training performance wise, I think this can be the best training environment in the world. I mean, if you're somebody who likes the science and learning how to do that and kind of the cutting edge side of training, well, this is the best place on earth to come. And we're going to be creating and producing the data from that and hopefully moving the sport very much forward.
I'd like to thank Herbie for taking the time to talk with me for this episode. I'd also like to thank Zach Wargo of ASU Media Relations. Make sure you are subscribed to Speak of the Devils on the podcast platform of your choice for more great sit-down series episodes and full coverage of the 2024 football season and beyond. And also be sure to follow me on social media at bdenny29.